Welcome back, y'all. Ryan Hall here with the weather forecast. And again, we have a lot to talk about. There's so much hype around this storm. I made a TikTok yesterday about a cold front and it got 11 million views. Like everywhere I go, I go to the grocery store, everybody's asking me about this historic storm that's coming, even here in Eastern Kentucky. And I want to try to use this video to set the record straight and really explain what's going on. Nothing outside of like what we actually know. Because even the National Weather Service is calling this a once per generation event. Okay, this is going to be a big storm. It is going to set low pressure records probably up in Canada. But what does that mean for you? Does that mean that you're going to see the most snow that you've ever seen in your life? Does that mean it's going to be colder than you've ever felt before in your life? For most of you watching right now, the answer is no. For some of you, probably, maybe, I don't know. But let's get into the model data and really talk about what makes this so special. Like, why is this such a big deal? And let's set the record straight on, we can start talking about snow totals, who's going to get what. Things will still change, but we've got some good data now. All right, starting off here with the European model, our storm is visible up here in Idaho, Montana, portions of Washington, Oregon, and Wyoming. This is 1 a.m. December 21st. You can see the time and day up here in the top right corner. Remember, that's going to be in Eastern time because that's where I am. So we've got this storm up here, but look at this energy down here in the Gulf of Mexico, right? Lots of juicy green, right? Lots of moisture, which is very important whenever we're talking about storms, especially even snowstorms, right? In order for this to dump a bunch of snow up here, we have to get moisture involved. There's not a whole lot of it involved in this Arctic cold front as it comes down. Any moisture that does end up in this system is going to come from the Gulf of Mexico or the Atlantic Ocean over here. But watch, this is pretty distant from the main storm system. And the bigger the distance between those two areas of energy, the less snow we're going to get more than likely. What we need to happen is for them to phase together. And that does happen. But look, it happens way up north. That's when you really see the snow start to blow up here in portions of Quebec and Ontario. But anyways, let me pull this back. This is the latest Euro model. We do still see snow and heavy snow in Kansas, Missouri, and Oklahoma around Thursday, December 22nd at 1 p.m. We see that get really intense here in Western Kentucky, Western Tennessee, just in the Ohio Valley and Great Lakes region in general here around 10 p.m. on Thursday. This is when that huge cold front's going to be coming through. We're talking about 30, 40, maybe 50 mile an hour winds. We're talking about negative 50-degree wind chills back up here in the northern plains. And it's just going to be a mess. All right. And then that low pressure center is going to kind of deepen and once again, it still looks very similar to the track of the blizzard of 1978, but all the precipitation, all of the heaviest precipitation is going to be on the eastern side of the low and the northern side. Okay, with the blizzard of 78, that phasing happened with the southern moisture earlier, so that a lot of the moisture was on the backside. Right now, on Friday, December 23rd at 10 a.m., it looks like Illinois is going to be snowless, even though the wind's going to be howling, the cold air is going to be absolutely insane, negative 20 degrees wind chills in some of these areas, maybe even more than that. All this energy needs to come back here if it's going to produce a record-breaking snowstorm for the Midwest, and it doesn't look like that's going to happen right now. But look, still tons of snow for Michigan and into Canada. This is just one model though, all right? And there's a trend happening here where things are moving back to the east. This started off as a low that was going to come up the Appalachian Mountains and drop a huge snowstorm over here. Yesterday, the low was going like this and dropping a bunch of snow up in the upper Midwest. Now we're in the middle of that. If this trend continues back to the east, two things are going to happen. Obviously, the heaviest snow totals are going to move east, and that phasing is more likely to happen, which means maybe a stronger storm overall. So we're going to keep an eye on that. That's the Euro model. Let's take a look at snow totals just for fun. So the thing about this storm is every snowflake is going to stick. Okay, every single one of them. It's going to be so cold, there's not going to be much melting happening. What we're looking at here is a lot of Missouri is probably going to get 2 to 4 inches of snow according to this model. And the heaviest snow is going to fall up here in Wisconsin, Michigan, and especially the UP of Michigan, where in the pink, we're talking about more than 8 inches of snow. And the closer you get to that light blue color, we're talking about close to 2 feet of snow. So this is one model. Let's go ahead and switch over from the European model to the American American model. And right off the bat, you can see a pretty big difference there. This time we see a similar story in Missouri, but a lot more snow in places like Minnesota and Iowa, and a lot more snow in places farther south into Indiana, Illinois, and Kentucky. Some of those areas, according to this model, could see 6, 8, 9 inches of snow. And then, of course, some heavier snow in the Appalachian Mountains and the interior Northeast up here in places like upstate New York. But still, the bullseye is going to be the UP of Michigan up into Ontario. Now, this is looking more like what we were seeing earlier from some of the runs that got everybody excited out here in the Midwest and in the Ohio Valley. This is showing over a foot of snow for some places in Illinois and Indiana. So as you can see, things are starting to look a little bit more realistic, okay? Michigan, Wisconsin, the UP of Michigan, you guys are going to get hammered with snow no matter what happens. What we're unsure about is how intense the snow is going to be in the Midwest and how intense the snow is going to be over here east of the bullseye zone. Okay, so that's what we're looking at right now. Now, moving forward, a lot of what we're going to be looking at is short range model data. So everything we've been looking at in the past leading up to this has been the European, the GFS, and the Canadian low resolution models. Moving forward, we have the NAM 12 kilometer. Pretty soon, we're going to have the NAM 3K and all these other models that have a higher resolution, and that's what we're going to be looking at. We're going to start right now with the latest NAM 12 kilometer model. This is the North American model, and it has a higher resolution, so it should be a little bit more realistic and accurate. And as you can see, we've got the storm coming down over the Rockies. We've got it very visible here on the North American model, 12 kilometer. The moisture, the energy from the Gulf of Mexico hasn't yet come out to play. What this means to me is that there's a slightly better chance of some earlier phasing, but still, it's still very separate. Not as much of a difference there, not as much distance. But if this is going to end up being a record-breaking snowstorm as far as like actual accumulating snow on the ground, this moisture needs to be much closer to the low pressure center. And I know a lot of us don't want to see that. So this is good news here. But still, absolutely historic cold front coming through. It's going to start off as rain in a lot of the Midwest, in Ohio, Kentucky, and Tennessee. And then very quickly, this cold front's going to come through and switch it over to snow. And it's going to be heavy snow. And it is going to be absolutely insane in terms of how quickly everything freezes over. But here's something interesting. Around 1 a.m., Friday, December 23rd, this is one of the reasons why it's very important to look at these high resolution models. Look at this. Maybe there is a very slight chance that a secondary low pressure center forms here along the Appalachian Mountains in front of this Arctic cold front. And if that happens, the counterclockwise flow here could bring in more moisture into the system and therefore lead to more snow. This is something that a lot of us have been speculating, and the global models haven't been picking it up because the resolution is too low. And this isn't going to be a very strong low pressure center. As you can see here, 1,003 millibars. Maybe it takes something like the NAM 3K to pick that up. But if this actually comes to fruition and it kind of heads out this way and picks up steam and gets a little bit deeper, it will throw more energy overall into the storm and therefore lead to higher snow totals. So that's very interesting. And this is as far out as the model goes right now. I'm going to refresh the page. That might be as far as we can go, but I can already tell you that this is probably going to lead to more snow in Tennessee, Kentucky, Ohio, and Michigan and Indiana than any other of the models are showing right now. And then, this is also continuing with our eastern trend of the low pressure center overall. Therefore, maybe some parts of the interior Northeast will see more snow out of this as well. So as you can see, there's still a lot of moving parts. It doesn't look to me like this is going to be as serious of a snowstorm as it is a general storm. The cold air and the wind is what I've been focusing on this whole time, and it's probably what's going to be the most memorable aspect of this storm. It's going to get cold. A flash freeze cold front is going to come through, probably the most intense one a lot of you have ever seen, and that's going to be the main concern here. There's going to be a lot of snow, but I'm not confident enough yet to put out a snow map. Some people have been saying it's like a repeat of the 2011 Groundhog's Day blizzard and stuff like that. I'm not getting that vibe, but as we get closer, I promise we're going to nail down the numbers for you. And last but not least, one more look at that progression of the cold front. Man, I could look at this all day. It's very rare you see a gradient like that on this map, but the pinks and the light blues here is -30 to -60 degrees below zero. Okay, that's insane. All right. And then this line here, the white in purple, that's where it's getting below zero. Okay, so everybody behind the more light area here feels like temperatures with the wind below zero. And then watch the progression all the way through the mid-Atlantic. And of course, we're still thinking below zero temperatures and all the way down into central portions of Alabama and Georgia, and single digits at some point, very briefly in northern Florida. And the cold air is going to be sticking around for a while. It is going to warm up, don't get me wrong, but it's going to be cold for a while here as we go through the future. So that's your progression of your historic cold front. This is what we need to be focusing on, and this is what you need to be preparing for. We'll worry about the snow once we know more. I want to say thank you to everybody who has shown support during this. Thanks for subscribing. Make sure you also subscribe to the main channel, Ryan Hall, y'all, on YouTube. That's where I'm going to be doing my live stream. If we end up doing a live stream, which it looks like there's a pretty good chance that we're going to, there's more than likely going to be blizzard warnings issued for a pretty good chunk of the hardest hit areas, and that pulls the trigger, I guess, for a live stream. So get your Yalla meters ready, and we will see you live on the main channel, and I'll have a regular video up there tomorrow as well. So thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye. Ooh.